Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the show. And welcome to a Sunday stream. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time it is, whatever day it is. I hope that the weekend is treating you well, especially Cavsty, who is up way too goddamn early to be here. But thank you for joining me once again on this Sunday stream. Good to see you. Glad to have you. Glad that you could come hang out with us today. And hopefully what's left of your weekend is treating you well. Again, it is time, chat. I hope you're ready. We are going to kick some doors. We are going to kick some doors today, and we're going to be playing as promised many times during the Valkyria Chronicles streams. We are going to be playing some Door Kickers 2 today. If you are curious, Door Kickers 2 is a CQB slash CQC type of combat simulator. It is a top-down game, more of a tactical game in keeping with the cult of bad tactical decisions, and it is the sequel to the original Door Kickers. You can pick it up on Steam right now if you want. I checked earlier today and there was not a sale going on. But even at full price, the game is only $25, and I have gotten over 100 hours out of it at this point. So we will be getting into that. But again, good to see you guys. Glad to have you here. I'm glad to see you as always. I don't have a whole lot else to talk about this week. It's been a very busy week for me, so I haven't, other than work, I haven't had a whole lot going on. I have been trying to put in a little bit of work here and there on the 2.0 model. And with that being said, you guys will actually get to see a little bit, just a little bit of the 2.0 model today, because Door Kickers 2 is a big milestone for me for a couple of reasons. One, for my own character portrait in the game, I used the prototype 2.0 model that I'm still working on. And I did a little bit of photo editing on it because there were some kinks in the model and it didn't look very good. So I used my my photo editing skills to touch it up a little bit so that it actually looks presentable. And then in addition to that, whenever the Door Kickers VODs start to go live on YouTube, you guys will get a better look at the full 2.0 model, or at least the first outfit for the full 2.0 model, because I am using the 2.0 model in the thumbnails for Door Kickers 2. Now, I'm not going to do that for every thumbnail for every game going forward until the 2.0 is live. I just wanted to do it this first time around, mostly as a, I guess, not an Easter egg, but as a treat for you guys, so you can get at least a little bit of a look at the 2.0 and the work that I've been doing. I will say I have some trusted lieutenants that I have been bouncing ideas off of, so there are a couple of folks in the community that are already aware of kind of the direction that I'm going with the 2.0 model. I promise it's not that much different, but even so, you guys will get your first little look at that today via the game. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, that's all the news I got today, chat. That's it, believe it or not. That's all the news. So that just leaves the thankies. So let me get over to the Twitch interface here, because y'all were going ham trying to start a hype train before I had even gone live on the stream, because apparently that's a thing you can do. Like, I don't know what Twitch is supposed to do with a hype train. So like, okay, if you guys don't know, whenever a channel gets a hype train, it tries to like push that channel and tries to boost the channel's visibility for people that are coming to Twitch. But like, if you start a hype train before I actually go live, I don't know what happens. Like, I don't know how Twitch handles that. Like, does it then immediately boost the channel as soon as I go live? Or does it just ignore it because it was before I went live? I don't know. These are the questions. These are the questions, chat. I don't have answers. And Bezos is a hard man to get in touch with. But chat, without further ado, I know it's only been 37 minutes. We haven't spent an hour just enjoying, but I think it's time we got into the game today. So let us chat head over to the game. Hopefully everything's gonna work. Oh, there we go. There we go. I was doing a little bit of a test run before the stream, so you caught just a brief moment there of the mission that I was doing, just to make sure that all of the video was working and that the sound was working and all that stuff. So we should be good. I hope that we're good. And I'm gonna try something here, chat. I'm gonna try something. You guys let me know. Alright, here we go. Erst says, Goblin Love previously subbed for 6 months, following Cincinnati. Why exactly are you out here auditing Goblin Love? What did they do to deserve that? I mean, listen, I know I gave you the mod powers. I gave you the green sword. But you can't just be auditing people in public in front of God and everybody like that. That's just rude. No, I get that, Urs. I know why you did it. I'm just like, hey, you just gonna call this man's out like that. Yeah. Just lay his entire existence bare for everyone to see. Very rude, Erst. Very rude. And full gifted a sub to Kenny the Rocket Scientist. Thank you, fool, for the gifted sub yet again. And Kenny, welcome back into the cult of bad tactical decisions. Glad to have you once again, and hopefully you enjoy your stay. Oh, I see. I see. You're right. You're right. Anyway, chat, so here we are in Door Kickers 2. Again, I've given you guys a little bit of a rundown of what Door Kickers 2 actually is. And by the way, let me know if the music is a little bit too loud. I'm showing that the levels are pretty low, but let me know if it's too loud. But anyway, Door Kickers 2 is obviously a sequel to the first Door Kickers. As I've said before, it's a top-down tactical game that focuses on CQB tactics and combat. With that being said, the first game was focused more on police, breach and clear like with SWAT teams. Door Kickers 2, as you can clearly see from the splash screen here, is definitely more focused on the military side of things, and specifically the global war on terror. Now, it imagines a fictional conflict in a fictional Middle Eastern country called Nowheraki, but it is very, very similar in conceit to the global war on terror, where there are a lot of terrorist elements. They're doing terroristy things like taking hostages, taking over areas, and setting up bombs and things like that. And so we, as part of Task Force North, are meant to be here to, in general, just do anti-terrorist activities, and again, kind of like the global war on terror, to fight back against that kind of insurgency. With that being said, there are 3 main factions as part of the base game, and I guess I can show you some of this, so that you're not completely out of sorts here. Okay, you guys are actually able to see my mouse cursor. So I had to do a quick fix earlier. A quick fix earlier because my mouse cursor was not showing up. And that would be a huge problem when we play the game, because a lot of what I'm going to be doing is going to depend on you guys being able to see where I'm pointing. But I'm going to show you the squads. And don't worry, we'll get down to this part. But there are multiple units here in the game that you can choose to play as. Now, typically, the base game started with the Rangers during the early access period. They're your pretty standard ground forces. They get a lot they get a lot of U.S. military equipment. I mean, it's basically U.S. Rangers. So that pretty much doesn't require any introduction, I would hope. They definitely get the best armor, the best weapons, and they're the most straightforward in terms of their tactics. Then, eventually, they added Nowheraki SWAT, which are basically locals that have been at least partially trained by US advisors to help combat the threat. So this is your more low-tech kind of militia type of unit. Their units are statistically a lot worse, and so are their weapons, but they get larger numbers and their reinforcements come back a little faster. So you're able to replace losses a little quicker than you can with, say, the Rangers. And then the most recent faction that they added was the CIA, which is actually a really interesting it's a really interesting unit because they don't play like either of the other units. The CIA focuses mostly on stealth, and in addition to stealth, they also have like an infiltration mechanic and a cover mechanic, so that like you can disguise yourself as a local and sneak in, get intel, sabotage objectives, and essentially what the developers did was after the fact. Chirpio says, so they're expendable. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think it's funny, Urs, that you're saying base first-time chatter, and look at how long Tripio has been with the community. You fucking donkeys. Tripio has just now said the first thing that they've ever said in chat. They've already been subbed for 6 months. What the hell is wrong with you guys? Anyway, CIA is interesting because the developers did something interesting in that they basically implemented an entire disguise and stealth system into this game when, one, it was not in the game to begin with, and two, was not even planned to be part of the game. Like, they didn't initially plan to put a stealth or disguise system in the game, but they did it anyway. And it doesn't always work very well, but it's still a really cool idea. I mean, Tripio, it says it's your first chat, but as we've discussed previously, Twitch is butt cheeks. So it's entirely possible that you have first time chatted before and Twitch just forgot. But with that being said, there's also infinite modability for this game. Infinite modability. And this is something that I want to take the time to highlight. Because, one, I have built a custom mod pack, as I've been talking about. I have built a custom mod pack specifically for this game, just for you guys. Now, I've said before, I used a lot of assets from other mods, because this game is infinitely moddable. I'll talk about that in a second. But this game is infinitely moddable. And I have pulled assets from a lot of other mods because I just either didn't have the time or didn't have the software that I needed in order to make the changes that I wanted to make. So as a result, I will not be giving out this mod pack to you guys. However, and I haven't set it up for this stream, but going forward, I'm going to provide you guys with links to the mods that I pulled the assets from. I can tell you right off the bat, the three big ones are the IOV mod, the Instrument of Violence mod pack. That's where I got a lot of stuff from. But the two other mod packs that I've pulled some assets from are the British Armed Forces mod and Chad, I took 4 years of German and I still can't say this word. Fallschirmjäger, which is basically the German Special Forces mod. So those are the three big mods, but I will, at some time down the road, again, hopefully by next stream, I will provide a full list of all the mods that I pulled assets from, so that if you want and you want to play this game, you can at least experience some of the assets that I have in this mod pack. They're all very well-made mods, and then the modding community is actually really, really good. They're also super supportive. If you're interested in playing the game, if you're interested in modding the game, go join the official Door Kickers 2 Discord, because they are extremely helpful over there. Pug says, please tell us. You made player names from some of the community members. So yes. We can rename people, and I will show you guys here shortly. I have done a lot of work in that regard, so you guys will get to see that. But again, I mostly wanted to show off this clip from Great Pretender because I went through all the trouble of converting this into OGV format so that I could put it in the game. And because I've already created the unit, you guys would literally have never seen this clip if I didn't show it to you. So I wanted you guys to see it. But with that being said, again, I'll provide some links later down the line for you guys to go check out some of the other mods if you're interested in trying to mod. But with that being said, I want to talk about the modding for this game just a little bit. You guys know I'm a modaholic. I love to mod games. And I was absolutely floored by the developers of this game. The developers, by the way, are called Killhouse Games. They have made this game moddable because they've made all of the data files available from the get-go. You can open almost every single file in this game with either a basic text editor, a basic photo editor, or a free 3D modeling program like Blender. You can open and modify almost every single asset in this game, down to the way that the game works. And not only that, the developers of this game have not only provided this huge transparency with the way that the game works, in the game files, they go out of their way to comment almost everything, to explain how the functions work, what they reference, what files you need to change to make things do certain things. Like, they built this game from the ground up for the modders. And they built it so that modders would be able to get down into the guts of this game and do all kinds of cool stuff with it. And that level of transparency is amazing to me because you don't really see that in game development anymore. And two, means that this game has infinite potential. Infinite potential. So I definitely wanted to take some time to highlight Killhouse Games and how far they've gone to support the modding community, because I learned how to do all of the stuff that you're going to see in this game in about a week, and I did it because of how well they documented all of the modding stuff. So I went from never played this game, didn't even own this game, to a full mod pack in a week because of how well this game was documented. And that's a hell of an accomplishment, and it deserves recognition. So I know nobody from Killhouse is out there watching right now, but if you ever see this VOD somewhere on YouTube, kudos to the Killhouse team's game, or the Killhouse Games team. I can words, chat, I swear. Kudos to the team because they did an outstanding job with the game. With that being said, I'm going to cancel here because I've already created the unit. And here we are. This is the cult of bad tactical decisions. Are you guys still arguing how to say Fallschirmjäger? It's fine, you guys. This is the internet. You don't win any points. You don't win any points for being right on the internet. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway. This is the unit, chat, and you will notice we already have some stats on the board. We have some stats on the board because I played through a Shadow Moses tribute mission just to make sure that the game works correctly. I wanted to make sure that the mod pack worked correctly, as far as like making sure that the models were working correctly, that the weapons were working correctly, and that sort of thing. So I've already done a little bit of playtesting with the mod to make sure that it works, and it does, which is good. We may still encounter some issues. Because I haven't been able to test everything. But I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to introduce you to the initial team. And again, people are going to die. This game is lethal. This game is lethal. As in, your people can die in a single bullet if they get unlucky. And every single one of these folks, aside from the booba strimmer, of course, obviously, I am the booba strimmer. But every one of the cultists is, in fact, a member of the community coming off of the Put Me In Boss list. Now, I will tell you guys now, before you start going on a redeem spree, there are 20 names here. There are 20 people here. There are probably close to 20 more still on the list. So, even if you've been saving up for a redeem, I just want to let you know now, it will probably be some time before you get into the game. Or maybe if I play really, really badly, maybe you'll get into the game even sooner. I don't know. But I just want to give you guys a heads up. Like, don't immediately start redeeming because you may not be in the game for a while. But here we go. We've got the Booba Strimmer, whose only redeeming features are Booba and a love of stompy robots. I believe those are my only redeeming features. And then we have you guys, the cultists. I have done a lot of writing for this mod, chat. Writing that you guys are probably never gonna see. But I have done a lot of writing for this mod. And Oxford rolled into the chat on a Sunday. Good to see you, Oxford. Thanks for joining us. King Bob says, it's always fun in combat, and I'm at 20k, so a few more streams I'll hold for the time is right. It's up to you. I mean, if you want to redeem, you can. I'm just saying, know that there are already a lot of people on the list ahead of you. So here we go, chat. Here's your first look at a little bit at a prototype of the 2.0 model. I don't know if it's better. I don't know if it's worse. This is not the full model, obviously. But this is what you get. This is what you get for now. And you may notice, you can't really tell in the picture, but that MILF ponytail is there. Now you may notice we also have a lot of Russian equipment. That is the general conceit of the cult of bad tactical decisions, is that we're going to start out with Russian equipment. Now I have put in some other things here. So we'll use Arrakis as a test bed, so to speak. Obviously, I've got you guys some relatively default equipment here. But we have other things. We have a lot of different primary weapons here. Now, we're going to have to unlock most of these weapons through gameplay and through succeeding at missions. We also have some sidearms. Just a few. Just a few. We've got the full suite of Russian equipment, including the Maska. For those of you that want to live out your God, now I can't remember. As much as I've played EFT, Killa, there we go. For those of you that want to live out your Killa fantasies, we do have the Maska helmet. Obviously we've got some Russian vests here. We've got all the Russian equipment as well. There's some other Easter eggs that I'm not going to share with you. We'll get to those when we get to them. But let me explain how unlocking stuff works so that you guys can understand. Every time you play a mission, you gain stars based on how well you do in the mission. The stars is what we'll be using to unlock the default Soviet equipment, right? However, you see there's this different symbol for some of the more exotic weaponry. These are called battle honors. And in order to get battle honors, we basically have to play through a campaign and complete it successfully, and we'll get battle honors based on how well we did in the campaign. So each one of these is only going to cost us one battle honor, but here's the thing. We do, in fact, have an RPK. Not only do we have an RPK, I gave you both versions. for those of you that want the 545 versus the 762 version. So yes, we have both RPKs. I also originally had the RPD in here, but I didn't want the weapon list to be too long. But we've got the 60, we've got the Hog. I put in the Lee Enfield. We've got an SA-80, a G36. We've got the L1A1 bitch. That one was by specific request from Capsty. As an Australian, of course, he specifically asked for this weapon, so I put it in. Yeah, Cord as well. We have the Cord. It's very expensive. This is the heaviest machine gun that you have access to in the mod pack. So I considered doing a mod deuce, but I already had the Cord in, so you get the Cord. That's what you get. But anyway, we got a lot of work in this mod pack. I'm not going to go through every single little thing, but with the battle honors system, this is important because it's going to allow us to unlock some of the more exotic weapons. But more importantly, if we look at the characters, you have these 4 slots down here. Now, these are upgrade slots for your troops. They have a level, so they're going to level up. You guys are going to level up as we complete missions and as we take down enemies. However, we can use the battle honors to either unlock equipment or we can use it to upgrade you guys with little defensive or offensive bonuses. Can we get flashbangs in the grenade launcher? It is possible. However, I have not put that in the mod. I have not put that in the mod pack. Just because I didn't really have the time to dig through the files and figure out how to implement it. If I can find a mod that already does it, I might try to implement it in the future because I can add weapons and things like that going forward. But for right now, it's not in the mod pack. But either way, these offensive and defensive bonuses are actually pretty good. So like as an example, an offensive upgrade that gives you an extra crit chance and an extra suppression application. So this makes you better on offense, charging into the room. You're going to kill enemies quicker and you're going to apply more suppression to them as you fire. Whereas we have the defensive upgrades where you recover from suppression faster and you aim faster. So basically the defensive upgrades make you better when you're stationary so that you can continue to defend an area. These, when you combine them, can add up to some really significant bonuses. So that's the other half of the battle honors equation. So we can either use it to get you guys some fancy new guns, or we can use it to get you guys some upgrades. I think for the upgrades, I would probably hand those out based on performance. If one of you has an exceptional performance in a mission, that might be worth handing out a battle honor. Also, we have some other stuff, but we'll get into this because you guys have some really big toys to play with if you want to. Yeah, you all start out badgeless at level 1. Yes, I've even written brand new rank names for all of you donkeys. Sack of grenades, yes. So you get just a couple of grenades in your small equipment slots. With your big equipment slots, you can get a whole bag of grenades. So yes, we can absolutely grenade spam if that's what you want to do. Suri says, let's use it to buy hookers and blow. I mean, if that's how you want to spend your money. But anyway, chat. That's where we're at with the game. Again, I will explain a little bit more as we get into it. Also, for those of you that are familiar with the game, yes, we do in fact have a doctrine tree. I just copied over the ranger tree because I think it's going to be the most applicable. But this is why I like this game, because there's a lot of progression. You have soldier progression in skill levels. You have the battle honor progression in the form of making your soldiers better even after they've leveled up. You have your unit progression via the doctrines, so the entire unit gets better as you level up. And again, there's lots of these like little improvements so that as you play with a specific unit for more time, the unit gets better as a whole. And that to me is a really compelling. Like, I love any game that has a level up system that actually matters. And I'm not talking about your typical AAA, we put a level up system in that's tied to unlocks. Because the level up system in this game is not tied to unlocks. It's tied to the skill of the soldier and the skill of the unit. So leveling up actually matters. But let's see. I'll give you guys a brief rundown. We've got Arrakis here, putting on their best Jinro impression. We've got Megas. He didn't specifically request to be Kratos, but I took a picture of him from the Discord and modified it to his specifications. Who's going to be Alicia here? Well, Oxford, only time will tell. Unfortunately, nobody here is invincible, so unfortunately, they will not be just going back to the rear and be perfectly fine next mission. So if somebody gets Alicia this time, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. We've also got King Panzer. You guys may recognize this character. I don't know why, but Juzo was just the character that popped into my head when I hear the name King Panzer. King Panzer, I don't think, is actually part of the Discord and did not give me information for this. I did it on my own. Of course, we've got Crappy Sniper. The crappiest of snipers. He wanted a ghillie suit. He got this instead. We got Ven, who specifically requested a stalker picture. So, you get stalker with purple instead of blue. We've got EW, who I also haven't seen for a while. But I took some inspiration. I took some inspiration from his pose during the XCOM 2 campaign and gave him a character portrait that reminded me of that pose. You may notice a tribute in this photo. I'm not going to point it out, but if you know, you know. Then we've got Ro, who didn't quite ask for something like this, but I thought a wizard with a gun was funnier than the portrait that he provided, so Ro gets to be a wizard with a gun. We've got Capsty as well, who requested a Vietnam elf, but then gave me an elf and a boonie cap. So this was my rendition of a Vietnam elf. We've got Jotun, again, requested a donkey in a robe. You got a donkey in a robe. We had no Carrion, who said that they wanted to do an Astartes helmet, so, congratulations, No Carrion, you got your Astartes helmet. We had Grindler, who basically wanted a default donkey portrait, so you get a default donkey portrait. We had Cvex, gave me a photo of an SAS guy, I think from Counter-Strike? So you get thumbs up. You get thumbs up, SAS guy. We got Postal Trout. Shared a video. I'm not going to go in depth on where this photo comes from, but I will simply say, if you know, you know. You gotta have more magazines, you guys. You gotta have more magazines. Max Dammit. Again, requested more of an XCOM thing, so I went with a purple BDU and gave him the Guile hair. Yes, this is actually Guile. Cody wanted generic scruffy wasteland guy, so I gave you generic scruffy wasteland guy. BLM, of course, requested his character straight out of XCOM 2, so that's what you get. We got Brewster. Brewster kind of made me feel bad, because this is a character from Gunsmith Cats. I have seen the game, or sorry, I have seen the show. I enjoyed it, but I hadn't seen it in so long that when he referenced the character, I didn't recognize the reference. That's how long it's been since I saw the show. And then I got called out in the Discord, and I felt bad. But give me a break. It's been a while. It's been a while. We got Travis, who specifically requested his favorite flying magical witch cat girl. So there you go. You got it, Travis. I know you're not out there right now, but you got it. We have Wasteland Wanderer, who requested a Krieger. You got a Krieger. You got a Krieger with the logo on your helmet. We don't worship the Emperor here. We worship the tiger. And then, of course, last but not least, I apologize for this because it's extremely low effort. But Wreck-It Carl gave me the meme picture. If you're familiar with the meme, you're familiar with the meme. Look, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was trying to go to sleep. This is what you get when I put your photo together at 2 o'clock in the morning. So there you go. That's the initial unit, chat. Those are the 20 folks who are probably going to be dying hilariously in order for us to try to help the folks of Nowheraki out. And with that being said, this is our campaign screen. Now, to be fair, there are missions as well. So the missions are essentially, sorry, chat, I had a brain fart. The missions are essentially one-offs. They're themed so that, you know, certain missions are themed around certain ideas, whether that be like hostage rescue or hunting down HVTs, that kind of stuff. So the missions are themed, but you can take them on in any order that you want. They are curated. They're also custom made and handmade. Now, when we get into the campaigns, some of the campaigns are also handmade, including, like, for example, Operation Shadow Moses, which is a tribute to the Metal Gear Solid franchise. But we also have these, which are called Tours of Duty. Tours of Duty are more of a roguelike type of element, where it's going to randomly generate missions, and it's going to randomly generate maps. And based on that, we will never, well, not never, but it's unlikely that we're going to get the same missions over and over again. So it helps to simulate that kind of unpredictability of being in a combat zone. With that being said, sometimes the game's going to give us more missions than we can actually do because the missions have a time limit before they expire. The objective is, again, much like the global war on terror, there's far too many objectives and not enough people to complete them all. So the idea is you can base which missions you take based on the resources that you have. If you have a lot of people injured, maybe you go on a mission that has a smaller squad size because you can't field enough people to do the larger missions. Or maybe you can get some key intel from completing one mission, and that will then help you unlock another mission down the line. So again, there's a lot of depth in the campaign and the tour of duty stuff. So I think, just to start out, I downloaded a couple of mods here. These are all modded missions, by the way. I'm going to go with the Tiny Troubles Tours of Duty. And the reason that I'm going to do that first is have a 40k conversion mod where you play as Imperial Guard. I don't think so, but it wouldn't be too hard to implement if I took the time to do it. But I'm going to do Tiny Troubles because these two Tours of Duty are focused on small maps. And the reason that I want to do that initially is to kind of introduce you guys to the concepts of the game, to introduce you to the way that the game plays in a setting where it's a little bit easier to understand, where we're not having these giant maps. And like for those of you that are new to the game, I want to play through some smaller maps first, just so you can kind of understand how the game works. And I'll try to explain some of the mechanics as we go through. But I highly recommend, if you're interested in the game, definitely go grab it for yourself. Even at full price, it's only $25. And again, I've gotten over 100 hours in this game already. So, in my humble opinion, as a booba streamer, well worth the $25 price tag. Correct, Arekinator. Tours of Duty are randomized, and operations and missions are preset. Now, the maps are preset. The enemy placement is not necessarily preset. Some of the missions are, some of them are not. The actual missions in the mission list, the enemy placement is preset. However, in the campaigns, like the pre-made campaigns, the enemy placement is not preset. So these can definitely throw you a curveball if you're not careful. But let's go ahead and do Northern Belt because it's the easiest. It's the easiest one. And of course, we're going to play with the Cult of Bad Tactical Decisions. Now, here we go. This is where things are going to get interesting because you can play Iron Man. If you play Iron Man, you can't restart a mission. And when people die, they are killed. Much as Shiro once told us, people die when they're killed. I don't know if it's going to permanently remove people from the roster, but I will be removing and replacing people when they are killed in the game. Now, there is an incapacitate state. Just because somebody goes down doesn't mean they're dead. It just means that they could be incapacitated. But there is a chance of death. And we're going to play Iron Man. The reason we're going to play Iron Man is because you get double rewards from everything, including battle honors. So here we go, chat. We got to give it a second to generate, because it's got to generate the maps and the campaign. That has anything to do with the prior game, but could I request to not be equipped with grenades? If you're worried about grenades exploding in your pocket, Jotun, I wouldn't. Because there are much more explosive things out there, such as guys wearing bomb vests. I promise, the grenades aren't gonna matter when the bomb vest goes off 3 inches from your face. And yes, it will absolutely turn you into giblets, whether you're still breathing or not. So here we go, chat. Oh, look at this. We're already starting out with a mission that gives us intel. So again, you may not understand what you're looking at if you're relatively new to the game, but here's our mission. If we complete this, we get some intel. This is a symbol for intel. Now, the reason this matters is because, as you can see, the game is keeping track of how much intel we have. Occasionally, missions will pop up on the map that require a certain amount of intel in order to actually do the mission. When you get those missions, completing the ones that require intel allow you to get battle honors without having to complete the campaign. So normally you don't get battle honors until you complete a full 7 days in a campaign. Now you can go beyond the 7 days, but you have to complete at least 7 days to get the battle honors. By doing the missions that require intel, you can actually get battle honors without having to complete a campaign first. So those can be very, very lucrative, especially when you don't have a lot of unlocks yet. Orekinator says, can we get the bomb vests? I had somebody else ask in the Discord. I can give you guys the bomb vests, yes. The problem with the bomb vest is, 1, it doesn't provide any defensive value. No shit. But 2, there's no way in the game to trigger the vest. Like, the game doesn't let you trigger the vest. So even if I gave you a bomb vest, there wouldn't be any way for us to use it. And I don't know if that's an intentional design by the developers to not do that. I have seen mods that make the bomb vests work, though. So if you guys really want that, we could do it. I could go look at the mod and see what they do to get it working. But I wouldn't encourage you to throw your lives away like that. Know a guy who hates this game, true to his words, is lacking so many things that you normally do during a breaching arc. Breaching up, like peeking a corner. He was so mad when people were praising the game as being realistic. Well, Jeff Bua, here's the thing. This game is a lot more realistic about its CQB tactics than most games are, but it's also limited by its technology. And believe it or not, this game follows in the tradition of you're only giving orders. Your guys, you don't directly control your guys. you're only telling them what to do. It's like RimWorld. You don't directly control your people. You just tell them what you want done and they do it. And you'll see when I actually get into the game. But your guys will actually peek corners on their own if their skill is high enough. And you'll see that happen. So, like, you'll see them lean around the corners as they come through a door. They'll do that as their skill increases. So if their CQB skill is really, really low, they're not going to peek the corner. But as their skill gets higher, they'll peek that corner before they come around it. So, again, I think maybe your friend should give the game another chance. Is it 100% super hardcore accurate? No. But no game is ever going to be that. So you have to be willing to accept some gameplay conceits in order to enjoy the game. Armchair tier 1 operator in a nutshell, unless he can actually do the time doing. Did do time doing this. Well, I mean, I don't know about Jif Bua's friend, but I know in this community we have quite a few veterans. So I would imagine there's more than a few of you out there that have, in fact, done exactly what we're about to do in this game. And Dark Nays gifting a sub to Fluffy Sauce. Fluffy Sauce, welcome back into the cult of bad tactical decisions. And of course, Dark Nays, thank you for the gift sub as always. You do not have to do that, but I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Jibua says, can't say too much about him, but he's a soldier and has done breaching. Okay, so, and that's the thing. I mean, it's never going to measure up to the real thing, obviously. A video game is, well, most of the time, a video game is never going to live up to the real thing. I've heard some people say before that playing 6 Days in Fallujah gave them flashbacks with how realistic the game portrayed it, but I can't speak from personal experience, so I don't know. Anyway, chat. We have a mission, and it's time to get stuck in. Now, they'll give you a mission here. They'll give you a briefing for every mission so you can understand what's going on. In this case, we need to rescue hostages. Hey, I was talking. We need to rescue hostages. We don't have to eliminate all the terrorists, but if we do, it's an automatic mission complete. So we have basically 2 ways of completing this mission. Either we can go in and we can kill everybody. You know that's my preferred method. Or we can just go in, grab the hostages, and get back out. Again, it's entirely up to us and how we want to do that. Can we just pop the hostages? We can, in fact, kill the hostages, either intentionally or by accident. And if we do, it's mission failed, which means we don't get the intel. So, probably not a great idea. Anyway, chat. So this is a very small map, but, as they said before, opposition strength is 8 to 16 blackheads. Blackheads, contrary to what your cosmetologist wife might tell you, in this case, blackheads refers to the local terrorist organization because they wear the black shema over their face. 8 to 16 enemies in this little tiny apartment. And at most, only 3 of us. Can we go through walls? Absolutely, Crappy. Absolutely. The only problem is, if we blow up a wall and a hostage is on the other side, that's a dead hostage. So let's have a look. Let's have a look here. I guess I'll put myself in on this mission just for the first mission. And I'm gonna use some, I have different weapons from you guys. So I'm gonna do something a little fancy here, and I'm gonna use a shotgun. Let me see. I guess we could take some door charges. So we'll send in Arrakis. We do have some options. I know Erst wants a shotgun. But we got shotgun, we got AKSU, so for a little subcompact carbine, we got the SKS. Not really great for CQB. We've also got the classic AKM, if you're interested in the AKM. We've got the AK-74, again, Not the modernized version, just the regular old AK-74. Is this like Chimera Squad? No, because this game is actually good, Wolf Warrior. And then let's see, we've also got the Mosin, the carbine Mosin. And that's pretty much it. So how do I join the fight? Jiraiya, you would need to do the point redeem in order to get your name in the game. But as I said at the beginning, even if you do a redeem now, there's probably at least a dozen people ahead of you on the list. So unless I play very, very badly, it's unlikely that you're going to be in the game anytime soon. You're good, Jiraiya. Again, as I said, a donkey is never late. They arrive precisely when they mean to. With that being said, we've got a couple options. I've given you guys the best helmet and the best armor that we have. I could also just put a hat on if you guys really want to die. But everybody starts with frags and flashbangs. I think that's a good combination just going in. So I think we'll just go in with some AKs, at least initially. So we'll have one person going in with a shotgun and two people backing up with some long guns so they can hold the angles. And that's it. Yeah.